Hey guys, welcome to episode 7 of Food for Thought. I am so excited today to be sitting down with my two special guests, Peter and Petunia, who is sitting behind me. Just kidding, but they will be sitting with me today. I do have a new format to today's podcast. I am actually going to read aloud a Google form submission that was submitted. So I'm excited to share this person's story and get onto the podcast. First question is, can you share a bit about your eating disorder journey? And that's whatever you're comfortable with. So this person wrote quite a lot. So here we go. My struggles with food began at a young age with family comparisons and restrictive practices, such as being denied seconds, having my plate taken away when a cousin looked very different from me, was finished, or being pressured to exercise after meals, which shaped an unhealthy relationship with eating. By high school, this developed into more serious restriction. I became vegetarian as a socially acceptable way of avoiding eating since my family meals didn't align with that diet. During COVID, my disordered habits intensified. I fell into the fitness challenge culture, began tracking calories obsessively, consumed a very low number of calories a day, and used caffeine to suppress hunger. This led to fainting, fatigue, cognitive difficulties. Even music, my passion, suffered. Memorization became hard, performances drained me, and the adrenaline crashes left me feeling sick and depleted. I saw some improvement when I started college, but new challenges arose. About 1.5 months of living on campus, I started not exactly feeling hungry anymore. I would eat an apple, and that would be it for the whole day. I wasn't just experiencing hunger. I would wake up in the morning, and my first activity would be to run to the toilet because I was getting sick. I did not question this behavior because this is something I had experienced before. All my symptoms really came back. Turns out I had a parasite gotten from the dining hall and was extremely ill. It took me 2 months to seek help because I was used to this feeling and didn't question it. After copious amounts of medication and months of not eating, I lost a significant amount of weight and began again to seriously restrict. I did this up until the summer of my sophomore year of college. I was living by myself. I did this until the sophomore year of college. I was living by myself and used the excuse of not having money for groceries to not eat. At the time, I was preparing to leave to perform at a festival, so I was very focused on getting the material down, and it was all I cared about. Participating in this festival was so taxing, I did not have the ability to not eat. I forced myself to eat meals because I knew if I didn't, I would not be able to get through the day. I had a roommate who was also experiencing an eating disorder, and we would share our experiences and talked about how we wanted to free ourselves from this pressure. It was really where I changed my behavior and my habits, and I realized how much better I was performing when I had fueled my body and wanted to keep that going. Being able to share these thoughts and feelings with my roommate was crucial to my recovery. We talked about how much our memory was affected, and I realized it was holding me back. She truly changed my life and helped me out of this hole. That connection and the tangible difference I felt when nourishing myself transformed my approach. I began to see food as essential to my passions rather than an obstacle. And with support, I've been working toward a healthier relationship with eating ever since. I want to take a second to comment a little bit on some of the things mentioned in this because I think they're incredibly important. First of all, thank you to this person for sharing this, and I'm glad that your relationship with your roommate was truly an impactful one. I think I talked about this before, but having people that you can talk to about your struggles can be really important and can be really bad as well in terms of, who you're talking to. And I know people with eating disorders become really competitive with each other, but I'm glad that you and this person were able to have conversations that seem to be beneficial for you and I think the other person as well. So I'm glad that that was able to be said and be able to be had because support is super important and being able to talk about experiences is super important as well. The fitness challenge, I think we all, during COVID, were dealing with this. I know I've heard a lot of people just talking on TikTok like, oh, I tried Chloe Ting in 2020 and I ended up here. 5 years later, with an eating disorder. Happened to me, happened to so many people on the internet, and it's so sad to see because I don't necessarily think that this started out of unhealthy eating or unhealthy habits. I think the idea of this was to keep yourself active and busy because staying active is a part of having a healthy lifestyle. But unfortunately, during COVID, with a lot of the other issues arising, it ended up being something that was very toxic to society. And it's really sad to see because I don't think it was meant to be that way. And having a good relationship with working out and moving your body is super important to having a happy and healthy life, physically and mentally. So that was one thing that really stood out to me, is because I went through the same exact thing, and I know there are a ton of people who have done the same thing. Being vegetarian, that's something that I know people have toyed with the idea of, I can become vegetarian because I'll eat less, or I'll eat less of this one thing that scares me. I think for me, speaking personally, like for some reason I was really scared of red meat. And, I would always say like, I don't eat red meat. I don't really like it. But at the same time, I think, my fears of eating it were adding on to the idea of what if I became vegetarian, or what if I became pescatarian, something like that. And I think the last thing was not even knowing that you were sick because you had felt sick for so long, and to you that was a normal feeling. That is something that people with eating disorders experience, especially ones that involved purging. I engaged with purging myself, and I think there were a lot of times when I did not know that if I was actually sick or if I was feeling the side effects of purging, such as having a sore throat. Now, am I actually sick, or am I experiencing an eating disorder symptom? So common, and I think it's not talked about enough, and it's something that has affected me deeply. Being a music student who is an emphasis on voice, there have been a lot of times these past 2 years when I was worried I was getting sick, or I wasn't feeling the greatest, and I realized that a lot of these symptoms probably weren't even from being sick, and I either was getting sick from purging and not providing my body with enough nutrients, or purging led to a sore throat or some sort of tonsil infection or something like that, an upset stomach, fatigue, all of that. It's really sad to realize that we're damaging our body so much we think that's normal, and it's not. It really isn't. Feeling sick, not having any sense of when you're hungry, not feeling hunger cues is not normal, and it's not healthy. So I think that's something that's important for all of us to remember, is that eating disorders are an illness. They are a mental illness. They are not healthy. And I think that is so misconstrued in the media and in society, of thinking that eating disorders are something to be desired or something to want. And would you want to be constantly sick for months on end? No. No one wants the flu for months. And the thing about eating disorders is it should be like that. We shouldn't want to feel sick every single day. We shouldn't want to feel like not eating, or feel down about ourselves and feel just overall horrible and tired and fatigued and achy. That's not something that we should desire, and I think that people lose sight of that. The next question is, are you a performer or involved in the entertainment industry? And tell me about your role and how you got started. So this person wrote, yes, I always loved singing. I began singing in church and absolutely fell in love with music and performing. Had a similar experience, actually. I went to a Catholic school for 9 years, starting in kindergarten, and that is where I started singing with my dad in church when he played guitar, and I was singing in the choir. Absolutely loved it, and I also grew up as a dancer, so I had that performing aspect too, and yeah, love performing as well. Next question. How has your eating disorder impacted your craft, work, or creative expression? This person said, see first prompt. I couldn't memorize, and I was so exhausted that I couldn't perform. The adrenaline crash after a performance would require hours of rest to recover. I didn't even think about that, because I experience adrenaline rushes and crashes as well, and I kind of didn't really put two and two together, that the adrenaline rush that I was feeling was probably from engaging in some sort of behavior. For me, that would be purging. When you purge, you get a boost of, I don't know what hormone it is, but I feel an adrenaline rush after. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on top of the world. I can do all these things now. Sometimes I also get into major depressive states, but some of the time I would feel this sense of highness and feel an adrenaline rush, and I would feel on top of the world. Same if you're, standing on the scale and you see that your weight is lower. That results in a rush of energy and excitement and joy, which in a twisted way you would feel. And yeah, like this person said, the recovery period from that high to that low does take a lot of time. I think, at least speaking on my experience, there was also the guilt that you would feel after a while when you were in that low of, oh my God, what am I doing to my body? I just threw up again when I told myself I wasn't going to, or I just skipped a meal when I promised myself or promised someone else that I was going to eat and they didn't. Memorization, huge. And I've talked about this so many times, but when you are a performance major in music or any kind of instrument or are engaging in performing full time, there is a ton of memorization that you need to do. And when you are not feeling your body, your cognitive functions do not operate at the level that they need to be and can operate at because of this lack of nutrition. Next question. In your opinion, does social media play a role in the development or reinforcement of eating disorders? Feel free to share any personal experiences if you'd like. Yes, in all caps. Why is TikTok just body checking? So true. There were points in my life where I was filming workout videos to keep myself accountable, but it was just torture, to be honest. I was trying to have the body of these influencers and follow their regimens, which are eating disorder fuel. So true, because why is TikTok full of people body checking themselves? Celebrities too, and famous influencers on the app. I see them body checking all the time. And I've talked about this so many times on the TikTok, which you should go follow at the Green Room Recovery Project. Why are people promoting their eating disorders, talking about how low they've eaten, talking about, their sickest bodies and what they look like now, and saying that they miss their sick bodies and all of that? It's so damaging. Giving people all of these ideas and fuel to, engage in all of these behaviors, I think it's absolutely disgusting, and you are influencing so many more people than you realize on the app. And the only way that I can express it is twisted. And I've done the same thing too. I've filmed videos of myself. I didn't post them because I was aware that it could possibly be triggering, but some people don't realize that. And they do post videos of themselves to, see what they look like. And in some senses, it kind of makes yourself feel better or maybe it's a cry for help. You really don't know what's going through these people's minds, but at the end of the day, it all has the same effect on people, which is it is harmful to the youth, to people who are in recovery, actively in recovery, and are using TikTok to help them to, get their thoughts out of recovery. Seeing all of these triggering posts and pictures and comments about other people's bodies, about what they did to get to this level where they need a feeding tube and are in the hospital. It's so sad to see. And I hate the fact that TikTok is now becoming the new Tumblr, where people think it's okay to broadcast their eating disorders. Yes, it is okay to talk about recovery, but talking about eating disorders in a way that is glamorizing it is extremely destructive and extremely triggering. And I think it's really sad to see, especially with the amount of people on TikTok. There are millions of people on TikTok. There are millions of people who see this content every single day. And there is a rise of young children on the app. Younger kids are getting social media now. That means that people who are below the age of 13, 10, 9 are experiencing this, looking at this, seeing that this is okay, and engaging in these behaviors and becoming more insecure, becoming less confident in themselves and less confident about their body and who they are. And I think it's really sad to see. Next question. How do you feel the entertainment industry influences body image or eating struggles, either for yourself or in general? There's so much pressure to fit the look. We want to be castable, and if we don't match whoever's definition of castable, we will do whatever we can to meet that expectation. It's a very hard path, but honestly, I have been cast in more by being my authentic self than trying to match what I think someone else wants the role to look like. This is so true. I think that in the entertainment space especially, there is so much bias by directors, audience members, other cast members by what this character should look like. Whether this person should be whatever body type, whatever attitude, or anything like that. And it's really sad that us actors, performers feel the need to fit ourselves in a box to be able to match someone else at the end of the day. And I really like the pathway that theater's going in, where we get to take new direction on the character. And I think that's the really beautiful part about playing a character, is that yes, you are playing a character. You are playing Nina from In the Heights. You are playing Vanessa from In the Heights. They are different people with different personalities, yes. But whoever is cast in that role gets to put their own spin on the character, which I think is really important. And that is, behind the intention of every choice, behind the way that they sing a song, whether they belt it or mix it with their head voice. Everything has intention behind it, and that stems from your choice and how you want to influence the character and how you want that character to feel in that moment and have that portrayed to the audience. But in terms of physical looks, I think it's inevitable. People have an idea of what they want a specific character to look like, to act like, and the truth of the matter is that it is really hard as a performer who is looking to break out into the industry to have to fit themselves, to have that look and feel the pressure to have that look. And yeah, it's damaging. And I won't sugarcoat that, because I think we all feel that. And I think in recent years we've seen directors, this has been happening in all of the facets of the entertainment industry: dance, modeling, acting, singing, of people in the higher ups, directors, heads of labels, executives having a certain look and a certain desire that they envision for this person. And sometimes they tell them, you need to look like this. You need to cut your hair. You need to change something about your makeup. You have to lose weight. You have to have, bigger boobs or a bigger butt, but, a slimmer waist to fit in with everyone else. And it's sad to see people feeling like they have to change their bodies and who they are, when we should be celebrating them and their authentic self instead of having them fit into this box. I think individuality is beautiful, and being able to find that within yourself and celebrating that, honestly, makes me more drawn to support you, follow you, and appreciate who you are in your art. Just some food for thought. Next question. What advice, encouragement, or words of support would you offer someone currently struggling with an eating disorder? Hurting your body isn't cool. Your body will be happier with regulated eating habits, and that in turn will make you feel and look better. Looking sick isn't chic. Speak on it. And the last question. What would you say to someone who wants to be more mindful and supportive of those struggling, whether they're loved ones, friends, coworkers, or even strangers? Eating disorders are mental disorders as well. It's all about what a person is thinking or feeling. You never know what will hurt or help that someone. Others being objective helped me. I don't think my roommate really knew how much of an impact she had on me or my journey, but it was truly the catalyst to my recovery. I think that is really important. You never know what a person is going through, what they're thinking, and how they will perceive what you say. So yeah, being objective is helpful. There are no opinions about whether or not throwing up your food is a healthy or unhealthy thing to do. That is objectively unhealthy. There is no opinion about whether or not eating less than a number of calories, a low number of calories, is healthy or harmful to your body. Objectively and factually, your body needs a certain amount of calories to function properly. Being objective and stating the facts, not judging them, but making it clear that this is not a healthy thing is helpful, and honestly really does help reframe the person's mind who is struggling, because I think in the moment we lose sight of what is healthy and what's not. All we care about is this one thing, whether that be purging or eating less or what our body looks like that day. We're solely focused on that, and we don't realize the health impacts that it has. Don't be judgmental, but be objective is the most important thing. Thank you so much to the person who filled out this form. Sharing your story is so important, and even though your identity is not being known, please know that you're making a huge difference to me and to all of the viewers of this podcast. So thank you so much. Your participation is always appreciated, and I hope that you are doing well in your recovery and your future. Good luck on finding that Broadway path or whatever you want. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed. So please like, comment, follow, share. Anything you can do to show your support to Food for Thought, it's really appreciated. I would also love if you were to follow the Instagram and TikTok at Green Room Recovery Project to stay updated with all of my newest content. I'll see you in 2 weeks for our next episode. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.